So I'm in the Stellar Connections. We meet on Tuesdays, and amazingly enough, there's a lot of familiar faces from Stellar Connections here today, so that's good as well. If you don't have 2 pages in front of you, let me know, and you'll need this for our sessions. Is anybody else missing something? We did okay, all right. Only if I get it back.
I promise.
All right. So I would like to talk about, why do I do what I do as far as business and executive coaching. My wife and I, we have a lake place up in the Brainerd-Baxter area, so we try to enjoy that as much as possible. We're empty nesters, so we spend a lot of time with our fur babies, 2 labs, so we're out walking a couple miles a day if we can. And then we like to do adventures. So here was out in Colorado Springs. We did an Alaskan cruise 2 years ago. That was awesome. Vikings game. And this one here, I believe, was in Mankato. We like to go see the Christmas lights at some of these big facilities and stuff like that. And how did I get to where I am today? I've got a chemical engineering degree from Purdue, started my career with, a chemical company. How about that? Spent 11 years at Dow, a year at GE, and then went to Integris, which is a business out in Chaska. Spent 13 years there, and they sent me to the University of Minnesota to get my MBA. And then from there, I started working in small businesses. Decided to take the stuff that I had learned in these big companies and start working with smaller companies. Those were from 2 million in size here to 60 million in size, and had roles of head of operations, general manager, and president. After my last assignment over here, this was a turnaround. I came in for private equity and helped them to kind of improve their businesses. I did a little reflection and said, okay, what do I really like about working with small businesses? And how can I do more of that? And so really it kind of came down to, I love developing people. I love working with others. I love teaching others all this knowledge that I've accumulated from my almost 40 years of experience and being able to see them use that knowledge in their jobs. And then also just really working with businesses and helping them to get better. And I said, well, geez, if I've been doing this for the last 10 or 15 years, working in a company, how can I do that more? And I really found business coaching, and Focal Point is the name of our business, our group, is an opportunity for me to be able to spend time with more businesses. Maybe it's 10 or 15 businesses at a time to be able to do some of the stuff that I really love. So that's how I got into this business. So today we're going to talk about little things that make a big difference in business success. And so everybody should have 2 sheets in front of you. One of them is for some notes, and we're going to have some small group activities. And the other one is a feedback form at the end, and I'm going to ask you to fill in because I always love to get some feedback. We're going to break this discussion into kind of 2 segments. The first one is what we call the Carnegie Triangle. And it's a real simple philosophy. I'm going to ask you to get together and answer the question. So get together in pairs and answer the question, what characteristics make people successful? So you've got your sheet in front of you. You can write it down. Get with your partner right now. You got 5 minutes. I'm going to put a timer on it. 5 minutes to talk about what makes people successful. Okay. And then we're going to talk about it as a group. All right, what characteristics make people successful? If you could just give me some ideas, I'll start to write them down here. Organized.
Consistent.
Okay.
Passion. Oh, sorry.
What? Passion, okay.
This is skills, right?
I just want to know what characteristics. Don't do anything yet. Not till I tell you, Kim.
Okay, well, persistence.
Okay, passion, persistence.
Authenticity.
Okay. Confidence.
Drive. Threat. A silly question. Are you trying to put them on the screen for us to see?
Or is that not this game?
Well, that was supposed to be the game.
Type it and I can see. It's horrible spelling, sir.
Oh, yeah, you should see all the red lines I have here. I'll share that with you in just a second. I'll put it up in just a second, and so you can see. Grit, drive, those are the last ones. Some more? Curiosity.
Communicator.
Okay.
A good support group.
Okay.
You need to have a coach, partner, mentor, somebody, somebody who can motivate you with experience and pushes you through.
Okay.
Willing to listen to that person.
One word.
Coach, mentor, other ideas?
Empathic.
What?
Empathic.
Empathic?
E-M-P-A.
Empathetic?
That's the same.
Okay. What's that? Willing to fail.
Oh, that's a hard one, but true.
You know, see the big picture.
Big picture.
Action. Fearless.
Fearless. Oh, okay.
Resilient.
Resilient.
Like, ready, shoot.
Other ideas?
Patient.
Patient.
Do you have, like, willing to learn or trainable? I don't know if that
Trainable, we do not.
failed.
You gotta go in and embrace the suck.
I'm sorry?
Embrace the suck. In other words, you gotta, when it gets tough, you don't give up, you're working through it.
What was the words?
Embrace the suck.
Embrace the suck. Dave, I've not heard that one before. I think we need a poster that says that.
Thanks.
All right, we're going to all right. Here's what we've got. Look at that. If we've got some more, we'll add a couple more.
Healthy.
Healthy.
No success.
Okay.
Okay, then go. Go more.
Is that supposed to be a dig?
And that's the one proactive.
Proactive? Oh, obviously for the next group, I got to add that to my list of don'ts. Anything else? Honest? Good. We'll do one more.
Determined.
Determined, okay. Awesome.
And grateful. Grateful is the last one.
I'm done. I said one more. All right. Great list. We're going to come back to this list in a minute. All right. We're going to talk a little bit about the Carnegie Triangle, but before we talk about the Carnegie Triangle, I want to talk about the man himself, Andrew Carnegie. So for those of you that might be a little younger than I am and don't remember, Andrew Carnegie was a Scottish industrialist. He founded a steel company that eventually became part of U.S. Steel. You may have heard that company out of Pittsburgh. But really, one of his passions was his philanthropy, where he took his money and invested it back into the communities, and a lot of the work that he did was around education. So things that you are probably familiar with. Carnegie Hall was because of his philanthropy. Carnegie Mellon University, and then the Carnegie Foundation, which does a lot of research around education. So they're the ones that put together this idea of the Carnegie Triangle. And the Carnegie Foundation went out and did a survey and said, you know, what really makes people successful? And they found out that there's really 3 key attributes to success: skills, attitude, and knowledge. Does that really surprise anybody? You know, that those are really the 3 fundamentals for success? No, not really, right? So they also looked at it and said, geez, you know, how much of success is associated with each one of these. And they found out that it's not an equilateral triangle, that really the success is mostly attributable to the attitude. The attitude that you bring to your job is what is going to be making you successful, much more so than skills and knowledge. So 85% of success can be attributed to the attitude, and only 15% is attributed to the skills and knowledge that you bring.
You can look at attitude as, and skills being almost synonymous.
Well, the way they looked at it is that you need the proper attitude to go out and acquire knowledge and skills, and really skills is just the application of knowledge. If I go learn something, my skills are saying, oh, I went to college, I learned something, I now can go apply that knowledge in my job. The attitude is about, hey, you know, I'm willing to go out and find these things. I'm willing to go out and try something different. And I'm actually a prime example of this Carnegie Triangle, where I've had several jobs over the course of my life where I came into it and I had bosses that saw something in me, and the job that they wanted me to move into, I didn't have the skills to do. One example is I was offered a job to be a quality manager. I'd never been a quality manager before in a manufacturing facility. But they said, well, Shawn, you know how to work with customers, you know how to work with people, but the quality manager stuff, we can teach you. It's some of the other things that you do that are good. And we know that you have a great attitude, that you're going to go out and you're going to learn how to do that stuff. So that's just an example of how the Carnegie Triangle works. So now, we're going to go back. And we're going to look at it and we're going to say, hey, we're going to look at our list that we put together. Okay, and Kim, this is where you're going to help me. Okay, knowing that the three attributes are attitude, skills, and knowledge. We're going to go through all of these. And yes, you're going to see all my spelling errors along here. We're going to go through each one of them. And let's talk about, is that really attitude, is that skills, or is that knowledge? And we're going to have Kim take a little survey along the way, and we're going to see kind of how we came up with on our ideas. Organized, attitude, skills, or knowledge? Skill. Okay, so you put a little check mark in skill. Good. Consistent? Attitude. Passion? Attitude. This is persistence.
Nobody said anything.
Attitude, okay. Authenticity. Attitude, okay. Communicator. Skill. Curiosity. Okay. Grit. Drive. Confidence. Good support group. Might be knowledge. Yeah. That's a tough one, yep. A coach or a mentor. Knowledge, okay. Empathetic. Attitude. Willing to fail. Attitude. Big picture. Can see the big picture. Skill? Yeah, okay. Embrace the suck.
Attitude.
I am going to remember that one. Attitude.
All capital attitude.
Trainable.
Attitude.
No, that's attitude.
Attitude. Patient.
Attitude.
Resilient.
Attitude.
Fearless.
Attitude.
Healthy. Skill. Knowledge. Skill, maybe. Tech savvy. Skill. Proactive.
Attitude.
Attitude. Honest.
Attitude.
And determined. Determined. Sorry. Determined. Attitude. Kim, tell us, how many check marks do we have for attitude?
Under attitude, we have 18.
18.
Skills, we have 5. And knowledge, we have 2.
2. So just based off our own work, when you didn't have anything that was driving your decision making or anything like that, all the stuff that we came up with respect to what's going to be successful, what makes us successful, really came down to attitude, right? So, I got to go.
Tech savvy.
Hey, I have a remote. She doesn't have a remote. I have a remote.
I don't have a lot.
All right, so now get with your partner again, and you'll see this on your application exercise, and get with your partner and answer these two questions. How can I use this information in my work or my life? And what do I commit to do differently now? So one of the things we always do in coaching is at the end of our sessions is what did we learn and what are we going to do different with that? How are we going to use what we've learned? So you got 5 minutes again with your partner. Answer these two questions. Who wants to share? You know, couple of people, how can I use this in my work and my life? Who wants to share?
We came up with having a regular attitude check.
Attitude check, okay. Does that involve a fire and a beer at night, or is that just
throughout the day,
talking?
Setting an alarm or just
Yeah, okay.
randomly.
You know, yep. Do I have a positive attitude? Yep, great. Other,
One of our group mate talked about that it's not just work, it's making sure that you're implementing things like this in your life too.
yeah, yep, absolutely, absolutely. What do you commit to do differently with this knowledge? Anybody want to share?
Time block the embrace the suck.
Scheduling, embracing.
Scheduling, you're embracing the suck. Put that on my calendar when I get home today. That's awesome. Great. Other ideas? What do you commit? Anybody else want to share?
He's raising his hand, pointing to.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Just embracing that we all can see how important that attitude is, even if we personally weren't seeing it before. Embrace that, hey, that is huge, and
Yep.
we need to encourage it and talk ourselves into it.
Yeah, I mean, the attitude is huge. It has an impact on you and the way that you're look at your day, your life, or whatever, but it also has an impact on the people around you. I'll share with you a story. A few years ago, I was in a job transition, and it ended up being a quite long job transition. It was over a year-long time frame. And I was talking with a couple people, and one of the people says, Shawn, you've been doing this for the year. How is it that you have such a good attitude? And I said to the person, I said, well, I look at it and I say, you know, I have a choice every morning when I get up. I can get up and I can feel bad that I lost my job, I don't have any work, I don't have any interviews this week, my life sucks. Or I can get up in the morning and I can think, you know what, I get to meet 3 new people today during my networking. I get to learn about 3 different businesses that I've never talked to before. Isn't that cool? And I said to the person, I said, that's my attitude. I make a choice, and we can make a choice on what our attitude is going to be. And that choice can have a reflection on ourselves and the people around us as well. So just understand that it has a huge impact on yourself, but also the people around you.
I would say I have a tendency, sometimes I get really overwhelmed, and because I stir myself up, and then I stop and I turn that into gratitude and say, oh my God, thank God my business is so busy. You know what I mean? Instead of getting all overwhelmed, like turn it into gratitude. And the other thing we were talking about is hiring, because she owns a company, and Michelle here, and we were talking about even hiring on attitude, how that can go like really far, because that's something I did for many years. Like,
Yeah, I'll share another story. Recently, I had a woman that used to work for me who was laid off from her previous employer, and she was going through a interview session, and I was one of her references. And the job that she was interviewing for was something that she had never done before. She really didn't have the skills to do it. And so when I was talking to the hiring manager, he said, you know, what about this person do you like that you think that they're going to be good at? And I said, their attitude. I said, she is going to be able to figure out this job. Even though she hasn't done it before, I said, I've given her stuff in the past and she's always figured it out. She has a great attitude about work. And he's like, I'm really glad that you said that, because when he looked at his hiring, he's like, I can't teach attitude. He said, so I hire on attitude. He says, I can teach them the other skills. So just another real life scenario.